Have you ever looked at your child, your own flesh and blood, and thought, why can't they see all that I've done for them? You raised them, made countless sacrifices, stayed up late when they were sick, and worried every time they came home after curfew. Even now, you likely think about their well-being more than your own. And yet, today, they barely call, hardly visit, and sometimes speak to you with impatience, as though you're a burden instead of the parent who once held their world together. If this resonates with you, know you're not alone. Many parents, especially as they grow older, carry this quiet ache, not from one specific moment, but from the gradual realization that the love they gave so freely is no longer returned in the way they had once hoped. It's not about wanting grand gestures or expensive gifts. Sometimes, all you long for is a simple phone call, a thank you, or just a moment when your child sees you, not just as mom or dad, but as a person with feelings, memories, and needs of your own. The pain of feeling ignored or unappreciated can wear down even the toughest heart. And the silence, the crushing silence, can be louder than any argument. But the deeper hurt doesn't always stem from what your child does or doesn't do. It's triggered by the storm of emotions inside: resentment, sadness, guilt, even shame. This is where healing starts, because no matter what your child does or doesn't do, you deserve peace. You deserve to wake up in the morning without that heaviness in your chest. You deserve to smile again, not because they've finally said the right things, but because you've remembered your worth, with or without their validation. There are 7 powerful lessons that can help restore your emotional strength. These aren't just thoughts. They are practical tools that countless parents have used to let go of pain and reconnect with life, even when their relationships with their children are strained. And it all begins with expectations. When you devote years of your life to someone, especially a child, it's only natural to expect something in return: respect, gratitude, a weekend visit, a phone call. After all, you were there for them every single day when they were young. Is it too much to ask that they care now? But these silent expectations can slowly morph into unspoken demands. And when they aren't met, it's not just disappointment we feel. It's rejection, disrespect, invisibility. All those sacrifices, helping with homework, putting their needs above your own dreams, begin to feel like they were in vain. Take Maria's story. She poured her heart into raising her son, dreaming of Sunday dinners and heartfelt conversations like they used to have. But as the years went by, her son became busy with his own life. The visits dwindled. The calls were brief. The ache turned to bitterness. But then Maria discovered a teaching from biblical wisdom. If you want to be invincible, don't fight what depends on others. That's when it hit her. Her pain was rooted in the hope that her son would live the life she had imagined for him. Her expectations had become a cage, and she was holding the key. Letting go of expectations doesn't mean stopping love. It means loving more freely, without needing your child to play a certain role in return. When Maria let go, she began to live again. She joined a walking group, made new friends, and took up painting, a dream she had long buried. Her heart softened, and surprisingly, her son began calling more often, not because she pressured him, but because the guilt had lifted and the space between them had opened once more. So here's the first key. If your heart is aching because your child isn't responding the way you had hoped, ask yourself, am I grieving my child, or the version of them I created in my mind? That question is where healing truly begins. Another quiet trap we fall into is emotional debt. As parents, we pour everything into our children with the best of intentions, giving without asking for anything in return. But deep down, there's often a subtle whisper. One day they'll repay us with care, love, attention. And when that doesn't happen, it feels like betrayal. Take Rosa's story, for example. She gave her life to her children, especially her eldest, Pedro. She imagined he would one day bring his own children to her home, including her, in their lives. But Pedro moved far away, and with every missed call, Rosa's heart broke a little more. When he did call, she couldn't hide her guilt. "It's okay. I understand you're busy." But what Pedro heard wasn't love. It was pressure. That's what emotional debt does. It turns love into a burden, and no one wants to feel like they're repaying a loan they never agreed to. True love, as God teaches, is given freely, without the expectation of anything in return. That doesn't mean your pain isn't real. It absolutely is. You're allowed to feel hurt, but you also deserve to set yourself free. When you love without strings, you offer your child a powerful gift, the chance to love you back on their own terms, not out of guilt, but from a place of true connection. Your love was never meaningless. It was strength, not weakness, and it doesn't need repayment to be real. Once you release emotional debt, you also release resentment, and that's where healing begins for both of you. Now, even after letting go of expectations and emotional debt, there's another crucial part of the healing process: boundaries. The word might sound harsh, but boundaries are what actually preserve love. Especially for parents who've spent years giving, it's easy to forget that love without limits can turn into resentment. When your child was small, it was natural to give them everything. But now, the relationship needs to evolve, and part of that evolution is saying, "I have needs too." When you always say yes, you teach them that your time and energy are always available. And they stop asking, they start expecting. Take Carmen, for example. She did everything for her son, always dropping whatever she was doing whenever he needed her. Over time, he stopped thanking her. Then one day, when she said no because she was unwell, he got angry. That's what happens when love has no boundaries. It becomes an entitlement. But love can still run deep while saying, "Not today." You're not being selfish. You're protecting your peace and teaching your child to appreciate you. As God reminds us, love everyone, but trust only those who deserve it. And that includes your own children. Setting boundaries doesn't require anger. It just requires honesty. "I love being there for you, but I need to take care of myself too." When love comes from strength instead of exhaustion, your child may begin to love you better as well. Even with healthy boundaries, that nagging voice still whispers, "Don't I deserve to be recognized?" One of the deepest wounds a parent feels isn't just being ignored, it's feeling unseen. After all the sacrifices, you long for a simple thank you. And when that moment never comes, it's easy to feel invisible. But here's some more biblical wisdom. Not everyone is in a place to recognize what you've done. Sometimes your child just doesn't see it. Take Teresa, for instance. She supported her daughter in every way, but never received a word of thanks. Eventually, she realized her worth wasn't dependent on her daughter's acknowledgement. What I've done is still valuable, even if it goes unnoticed. And that's where true inner peace begins. When you stop waiting for others to validate your worth, you walk lighter, speak freer. And sometimes that very shift causes your child to notice, not because they feel pressured, but because your love is no longer tied to expectations. Now comes perhaps the most liberating step of all. Reclaiming your emotional independence. It doesn't mean shutting down or cutting your children off. It means saying, I can still love you, but my happiness doesn't depend on you. Emotional independence allows you to stop riding the emotional roller coaster of your child's behavior. As the Bible says, no one is free who is not master of themselves. Take Peter, for instance. He had a distant daughter. For years he felt rejected, blaming himself. But one day he asked, what if I stopped waiting? He didn't stop loving. He just stopped needing her love to look a certain way. He started gardening, walking, reading. And slowly his peace began to return. One day his daughter noticed, Dad, you seem lighter. And that's where something beautiful begins. Not just healing, but rediscovery. Rediscovery of your worth, your strength, and your right to live with joy, regardless of how others respond. You are enough. And not because someone says so, but because your life and love already prove it.